Hi, this is Aaron Etheridge, President of Console Classics. This is a brief overview of Fire Emblem for the Game Boy Advance. Fire Emblem is a very in-depth, turn-based strategy game with heavy RPG elements. The sheer number of unit types, consumable items, and terrain modifiers can seem almost overwhelming at first. Fortunately, there is a complete tutorial to baby step you through the process of managing your forces effectively. I intend to highlight most of the game's features in this video. The game is very reminiscent of Warsong for the Genesis in its RPG aspects, and Advance Wars for the Game Boy Advance in its gameplay. Players who enjoyed either of these games will certainly be interested in what Fire Emblem has to offer. In a true RPG fashion, all the units in Fire Emblem have a backstory as well as their own equipment and experience level. Equipment primarily consists of consumable weapons that the units use to attack. Each attack weakens a weapon until the weapon finally breaks. So it's essential to make sure that all of your units are well supplied with weapons before the beginning of each battle. As in any other RPG, weapons can be purchased at certain stores. These are actually placed on the battlefield, and purchases must be made on the combat map. Completing each map will provide you with the income you need to make purchases. Certain enemies will also drop weapons and other equipment when defeated, although this is relatively rare. Each character can carry up to 5 pieces of equipment at a time. If a character with a full inventory gains an item, they'll have to discard an old item in order to accept a new one. So inventory management is also very important. There are 2 ways to manage inventory. The first is to trade items between characters on the battlefield. This is usually only convenient if a particular character needs a particular item on a particular map. Much faster and easier method of trade is available between battle maps using the preparation screen. The preparation screen is also used to select which characters are going to be used in the up-and-coming battle. This is very important because you can look over the battlefield to decide what units you're going to need. It also allows you to balance experience between units to a certain extent. Although this isn't specifically required, it's highly recommendable. Units that reach level 10 can choose an advanced class, provided that you have access to the appropriate item for that class. For instance, a Knight's Crest can be used to change a Knight into a General. These advanced classes greatly increase the power of your units. They also reset the unit's level to 1, which is very important because units can only reach level 20. There are 3 basic weapon types making up kind of a rock, paper, scissors weapons triangle. Axes beat lances but are weak against swords. Lances beat swords but are weak against axes. Swords beat axes but are weak against lances. In the same spirit, there's also a magical triangle. There's also certain weapons that reverse this triangle. For instance, certain swords are strong against lances but weak against axes. Before any attack, a summation of the expected results will be shown. Up and down arrows are used to show who will have the advantage in the fight. The tutorial covers these triangles very thoroughly. There's also direct and indirect combat to consider. Units with bows can attack non-adjacent units, and depending on what those units are, they may not receive a counterattack. Magic users can attack both adjacent and non-adjacent units that fall within their attack range. This is very useful because you can attack melee units from a distance and attack ranged units at point-blank range. In both cases, a retaliatory attack would be impossible, thereby protecting the magic user. To add more complexity to this system, there's also a terrain system, which takes into account what terrain both an attacker and defender are on. This matters not only because attacking a unit in cover makes the attack less likely to succeed, but because in most cases there is a retaliatory attack. It's very discouraging to miss a target who's in cover only to have their return attack hit home. Terrain also affects the different units' movement rate. For instance, mounted units are completely unable to traverse mountains. However, there are also flying units that can move almost anywhere, even flying over walls. The terrain ranges from forest squares to fortresses. Fortresses, castle gates, and thrones offer the added benefit of healing units located on them at the start of each turn. There are several moves and units that make the gameplay even more interesting. First off, there's an undo command which will reset a unit's movement unless they've already committed to an action, such as purchasing an item in a store or making an attack. This makes fixing minor mistakes easy. Many units have the ability to rescue other units. Should a unit's hit points get too low, the cavalry can literally come to the rescue, settle down in an adjacent square, and actually pick that unit up and protect them until they can get them back to safety for healing or what have you. There are more than just damage-dealing magic units. There are also clerics that can heal damaged units. There are thieves that can open lock chests, archers that can take control of ballista that can strike at very great distances all across the battle map. There's even a bard that will sing to units that have already moved and allow them to move again in the same turn. In addition to all this, there are weather effects on certain maps like rain or fog. The game adds to all this with a rich story and story-based goals. Each battle map has its own goal, which may range from defeating all the enemy units to simply seizing the throne found on that map. In most maps, there are houses or villages to visit in order to get information about the map or battle from NPCs. In some cases, you can even have a unit choose to talk to an enemy unit and convince them to join your forces. To add icing on this already impressive cake, there are even side quests which are more difficult than the main storyline, but they offer rarer and much more powerful items for completing them. All things considered, Fire Emblem is a truly remarkable game. It offers a stunning number of RPG elements while remaining true to its turn-based strategy core. I hope that you found this overview informative and that you'll give Fire Emblem a try right here at Console Classics. So thank you very much for listening.